call this meeting of the Upshur County Commission to order. We will begin with a moment of silent meditation and prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning on this cold morning. It is nice to be in a warm environment. We have several scheduled meetings this morning. First starting at 9:15, so until that individual arrives, we'll listen to the minutes from last week's meeting and then proceed with our items for approval.
Good morning.
Jackie.
The County Commission of Upshur County, West Virginia held their regular meeting at the Courthouse Annex on Thursday, February 12, 2015 at 9 a.m. J.C. Rafferty called the meeting to order. There were present J.C. Rafferty, Commissioner, Troy Grady, Commissioner, Terry Cutright, Commissioner, and Kerry Wallace, County Administrator, and Jacqueline Van Falker, Secretary. The meeting began with a moment of silent meditation and prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. All motions passed unanimously unless otherwise stated. After reading of the minutes on motion by Troy Grady, seconded by Terry Cutright, the Commission approved the regular meeting minutes of February 5, 2015 as submitted. J.C. Rafferty recognized visiting students from Buchanan Upshur High School and West Virginia Wesleyan College. Callie Sams, Buchanan Upshur Parks and Recreation Advisory Board Representative, appeared before the Commission and provided an overview of the proposed first annual Buchanan Upshur Hometown Olympics, which is to be held on June 6 and 7 at Buchanan Upshur Recreational Park. On June 6th, there will be a pool party with a triathlon of racing events to be held on June 7th. Advisory Board has obtained bids from Tri-State Racer in the amount of $1,332.50 and Jones Racing Company in the amount of $1,872.50, which will cover expenses associated with equipment, setting up, and accurate timing of the events, and has determined that the lower bid will fill the needs of the first annual event. Ms. Sams advised that the board is seeking permission to use Wellness Complex funds to cover overhead costs associated with the event. Various methods of fundraising are planned for the reimbursement of the requested fund. After discussion on motion by Terry Cutright, seconded by Troy Grady, the Commission approved the use of the Wellness Complex funds to cover the preliminary cost of the event with reimbursement pending. Rodney Rollinson, Home Confinement Supervisor, appeared before the Commission and provided a review of the 2014 Upshur County Home Confinement Year-End Report. Deputy Rollinson advised that the use of the GPS units is working out great and has resulted in substantial savings over the past year, in addition to the benefits of real-time monitoring of clients. J.C. Rafferty reviewed a request from Steve Linger, E911 Communications Center Director, for the adoption of the use of headsets for dispatchers and dispatching headset policies and procedure bulletin, dated January 28, 2015. After discussion on motion by Terry Cutright, seconded by Troy Grady, the Commission approved the request. After discussion on motion by Troy Grady, seconded by Terry Cutright, the Commission approved the employment of Sandra Leggett as full-time Deputy Circuit Clerk, as requested by Brian Godet, Circuit Clerk. Effective date of employment is February 23, 2015, at the rate of $8 per hour. After discussion on motion by Terry Cutright, seconded by Troy Grady, the Commission approved the employment of Jessica Lynch as part-time Address and Mapping Secretary, as requested by Kerry Wallace. Effective date of employment is February 17, 2015, at the rate of $8 per hour. Ms. Lynch will work no more than 19.5 hours per week for up to 120 consecutive days. After discussion, motion by Terry Cutright, seconded by Troy Grady, the commission approved a request from Sheriff David Kaufman to advertise for the position of deputy sheriff for the purpose of a competitive examination. The advertising/posting will run for 3 weeks beginning February 25, 2015, and will appear in the Record Delta and the Intermountain newspapers. After discussion on motion by Troy Grady, seconded by Terry Cutright, the commission approved the advertisement/posting for the request of bids for the groundskeeping of county-owned properties. The pre-bid meeting will be held on February 26, 2015 at 9:30 a.m. Sealed bids must be delivered to the commission before 9 a.m. on March 5, 2015. After discussion on motion by Terry Cutright, seconded by Troy Grady, the commission approved the following as volunteers for the Lewis Upshur Animal Control Facility: Jana Rice, Chris Schimmel, and Austin Schimmel. After discussion on motion by Terry Cutright, seconded by Troy Grady, the commission approved and authorized the president to sign the designate Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, filing authorization for the 2014 calendar year. The authorization allows EPSO to file with CMS on behalf of the Upshur County Commission. J.C. Rafferty reviewed the following for your information items. Number 1, correspondence from Jeff Ambergy, West Virginia State Property Tax Division, announcing the increase of the statewide computer network budget to $49,684. The increase will fund improvements to the statewide computer network, including increased response time and stability of county data. 2, correspondence from J. Mullinex, Unclaimed Property Division, announcing the approval of payment for claim 286517 in the amount of $1. 3, Upshur County E911 Communications Center report, January 2015, as listed. 4, agendas and/or notice of meetings as listed. 5, meeting minutes as listed. 6, meetings as listed. 7, Board of Review and Equalization meeting schedule as listed. 8, appointment needed or upcoming as listed. The commission approved all invoices for payment. The commission approved all vacation orders. The commission approved the following settlements as listed. The commission recessed at 12:05 p.m. The commission met as the Board of Review and Equalization at 1 p.m. The commission reconvened at 2:50 p.m. with no further business. On motion by Terry Cutright, second by Troy Grady, the commission meeting adjourned at 2:50 p.m.
Thank you, Jackie. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes as read? If not, I would request a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have our first appointment, as I said earlier, 9:15, so we have about 6 minutes to proceed to items for discussion, action, and approval. We have number 1, discussion of Guy DeRico's road name removal request. Mr. DeRico and his son-in-law appeared before the commission last week requesting consideration for removal of a road name on property which Mr. DeRico owned and has been designated as a road about 15 years ago or longer, I guess, when the mapping and addressing ordinance was first instituted in Upshur County. After review, we indicated we would make a decision, which we have, and we, at our request, Terry Joe Bennett, the mapping and addressing coordinator, submitted a letter to Mr. DeRico explaining our decision. Basically, the commission believed a deviation from the approval of guidelines would alter the intent of the 9/11 addressing and mapping ordinance, which is to promote the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Upshur County, and therefore we declined to provide a variance as requested by Mr. DeRico. Item number 2 is correspondence from Robert Hinton, Upshur County Development Authority, requesting a letter of support for the Upshur County Development Authority and the submission of a grant proposal to Frontiers America's Best Communities Grant. It is a grant $10 million grant, which is competitive by a number of communities throughout the United States. And as a result of that grant, monies would be, if you were selected as the winner, monies would be forthcoming from Frontier Communications to develop economic development, provide economic development, revitalizations, and sustainable growth in small cities and presumably counties and rural areas. So he has requested a letter of support for that grant. I believe we approved that. Was that the grant we approved last week for them or not?
No, this is
a different
new
grant.
letter of support they're requesting.
So I would request that there be a motion, if there is such, to approve Mr. Hinn's request, and we would send a letter of support of the Upshur County Development Authority seeking that grant. Is there such a motion?
I'll move that we approve that request.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those same sign, motion carries. Next, we have approval and signature of a mutual aid agreement between the Upshur County Sheriff's Department, the Cannon City Police, Lewis County Sheriff's Department, and the Weston City Police. A mutual aid agreement is a routine, basically memorandum of understanding between the various departments involved, and allows each agency to assist each other in this particular case, law enforcement functions. I know that there is in the process from creating a multi-agency narcotics or drug task force, among other things, but this is a normal routine procedure wherein different agencies can assist each other in moments of need, providing information, providing assistance, for example, in officer safety. If you recall, again, we're talking here 5-7 years ago, we had an incident occurred, maybe it's longer than that now, no time does fly, where an officer was fired upon here in Upshur County, and the individual involved fled to Randolph County, I believe it was, or was it Randolph Department? It was Randolph. And a number of agencies participated in that case. So I would request that there be a motion to authorize the president of the commission to sign that agreement on behalf of the county commission.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Major approval and signature of TriStarRacer.com timing route contract for the triathlon event hosted by the Cannon Upshur Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to be held at the first annual Cannon Upshur Hometown Olympics on June 7, 2015. If you recall, last week we had a presentation by Kelly Sams, who is director, president of that board, relative to a planned event which they would have and host, and requested authority by the commission to expend funding to enter into a contract with the lowest bidder who would provide services relative to that event. This is a contract which has been sent to the board by Tri-State Racer, setting forth the obligations and the means by which they would provide assistance needed by the Parks and Recreation Board. And it is in compliance with what we authorized expenditures of funds up to that dollar figure, like $1,300, something along those lines. So I would ask if there's a motion to approve this signature signing of that contract.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 1 minute, Greg. One more item. Next, we have for your information items, correspondence from Laura L. Ash, Deputy State Auditor, reviewing levy estimate requirements and the sequence of events for the 2015-2016 budget. The Upshur County Commission has made arrangements for the month of March, which normally we put our budget together, so we'll be having various elected officials from departments come into the chamber to come into the commission, and we'll discuss with them our budgeting for next fiscal year, which begins on July 1st. State law requires that between the months of, between March 7th and March 28th, we submit to the state auditor our budget, which we would have prepared by that date. So that's just for information purposes. It is now 9:15, And we have Craig Pracer from the West Virginia Extension Office, who is scheduled to appear and discuss the request for budgeting of that office for the 2015-2016 year. Craig, good morning.
Gentlemen. Good morning. Thanks. We're back here after, we were here, what, about a month ago, a couple months ago, introducing folks to you. But now we're here in a more official capacity to present you with our budget request for the coming year. Just because we introduced all ourselves a while ago, we won't go into the 15-minute discourse on who we are and what we do. I do want to mention that we just finished the centennial year of celebrating the Smith-Lever Act and Morrill Act, which created the Cooperative Extension Service. So for 100 years, WVU Extension has been serving the folks of West Virginia and Upshur County.
The Morrill Act also created the land-grant college system.
Right,
That's
creating land-grant colleges that so WVU, and then the Morrill Act came along and created the Extension Service about 100 years ago, and then the second Morrill Act came later on in 1890 and created Extension Services in traditionally black universities. So West Virginia State is the 1890 university in West Virginia. Extension serves West Virginia and Upshur County through 5 different units. We have two and a half of the units represented here in Upshur County. We, of course, have the 4-H Youth Development Program, which I'm responsible for. And we have our Ag and Natural Resources agent, Tasha Harris. I talked with her about coming up and mentioning briefly, but she's been on the job for about 2 or 3 months. She hasn't done a whole lot more. None of us have done a whole lot more than we said we were doing about a month ago. Did you want to talk about your program real quick, or did you want to? Yeah.
You may go there.
Hit him. Well, I don't know whether the camera wants you up there or not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys seen in the paper yesterday with the Big Lick Care Workshop in it, but I hosted that, and that's the main thing I've been doing right now. I expect to have about 20, 25 people, actually 75 people sign up for that. So I had to make that 5 different dates. And then the only other thing I have going on right now is we are planning to do a Master Gardener program, which I'm in the process of getting that stuff together with the county. So other than that, I got things planned for the rest of the year. That's the items that's been rolling since last time.
We're currently in the process of identifying students and registering students for the Master Gardener program. We hope to get enough interest. There's been a lot of expressed interest. We're trying to identify those folks and get them signed up now for the program as well. And we're doing that in conjunction with Lewis County as well.
Right.
So, I mentioned that there were 5 units. There's also community economic workforce development unit within WVU Extension. That primarily helps counties with tourism, business development, things like that. There's a pretty strong program with other agencies here in Upshur County, so the university is focusing those resources in other parts of the state. We have our family nutrition program, which Mindy Mall is our nutrition outreach instructor. You don't get to meet her again today because she lives in Pickens, and so it's a little tough for her to get in today. So she sends her regrets for not being here this morning. And we also have Families and Health. Even though I'm a 4-H agent, I'm partially responsible for Families and Health programming as well. Tasha mentioned the creation of a Master Gardener program, or bringing back a Master Gardener program here. That's a direct result of a strategic planning evening we had, about a month ago. Mr. Cartwright was gracious enough to come learn a little bit more about us that evening and also help us with some of our planning. The top things that were recognized there that folks indicated they would like us to be focusing our efforts on were Master Gardeners, gardening in general, horticulture kinds of things. Overwhelmingly, the response was we need to identify some type of fairgrounds. Now they said 4-H fairgrounds because we were there for an extension thing, but I took that I'm going to broaden that a little bit and just say county fairgrounds. so we can do 4-H programming and county fair kinds of activities there. Overwhelmingly, that was the response that evening. To be honest with you, I don't know, we're kind of scratching our heads trying to figure out how we attack something like that and how we approach something like that. Right now, well, I hesitate to even say it, but trying to figure out how we might be able to tie the fairgrounds in with the new sports complexes that they were proposing for the city and things like that. I don't know, and those conversations haven't started yet, so don't put that in anything. But
It's already on the video.
Yeah, well, you didn't hear anything. No, we're just trying to come up with ideas and formulate a plan of attack on that issue and that problem. Because it really would be something, a positive for Upshur County, and we certainly see a need for us to play a role in helping make that happen.
I would think probably the COSs would be of interest in assisting.
Yeah. So we're just going to take a look at it and step back and see how we can best address that.
How many acres are you looking for that?
Enough to have a county fairgrounds. Yeah, what we're planning to do is, Tasha and I have talked about doing a survey of other counties to see how their fairgrounds operate, who owns their fairgrounds, who's in control of the fairgrounds, how much size they have, the kinds of things we're doing. We're going to try and get as much background information as we can before we start asking for specifics. And that's a process that we're getting ready to start through. So at this point, it's just we know that there's a need, and there's been a stated need, and that's the direction the folks at that meeting asked us to go. So we're going to work that way. We also, other things that came up, we talked about, remind me, we were just talking about
The nutrition.
More nutrition classes and things like that. Later in mid-March, I'm going to be attending a training for Dining with Diabetes. That's a program that Gary Rapkin was involved with. So I'm going to go get some training in that and learn how to provide that program. But we're interested in bringing the Dining with Diabetes program back. And we are in talks, I am able to announce this, we are in talks with the school board about bringing Energy Express, our summer reading and feeding program, back. Definitely we're interested for 2016. There is a slight possibility that it might be here as early as this summer. That window is rapidly closing though, so I mentioned that we're hopeful, but that window is closing. So, but we are definitely interested in seeing it come back for 2016. Energy Express is designed for elementary students, bring them in and work with them in reading enrichment programs so their reading scores and reading skills don't slide backwards during the summer. But for my money, the most important part of that is it's a feeding program. The students get breakfast and lunch, and therefore we're able to guarantee kids at least 2 meals a day for 6 weeks in the summer, which is, in my mind, that's the very important part. Yeah.
Craig, you might want to make contact with Judith Williams. She's a new Curry librarian, and she might be interested in helping you with that project.
Great. So we've talked with Mr. Wager with the school board is trying to find whether that fits into their budgets for this year. Definitely, we are talking about 2016. We're still waiting to hear about this year's budget though. So we would definitely be interested.
Yes. I know we have kids in need out there where we're at, so we could work together on that.
Okay.
To make it
Great. That's great. Let me tell you what you're about to see in the budget. Well, here's the copy. I'll give the original to Carrie for signatures, but I've got copies for each of you. Our budget in years past has. In years past, we have come before you and asked for less money. We did that for 3 or 4 years in a row. Last year, you took us seriously. Last year, you took us seriously, and as with all other organizations across the county, there were some budget cuts made. Ours were pretty extensive. It turned out to be about 40% of our budget. that we had to move around. We do appreciate, one of the changes, one of the big, the ways we were able to save money on our budget last year was the retirement of Baby Shiflett. We went for about 6-8 months without a 4-H assistant, 4-H program assistant. I'll be very honest, and I've said this before, that set us back on our heels considerably as far as getting paperwork done and reaching youth. This past fall, we were able to add Abby Golden as a part-time 4-H assistant. And she has been great, and we're bringing the program back around. But I have included in this budget that I presented to you more money for that position. We would like to see Abby's position become full-time. Abby is lucky enough to have a husband with really great insurance, and she has said that if she would come on full-time, if you would consider making her full-time, she would waive her insurance, requirement insurance for this job, and so there would be savings there, and she would go on to her husband's insurance plan.
I can see that your only increase really is for personnel.
That really is the only increase we're asking for. I will say, I didn't really get a chance to share this information last year as to why we want full-time, so I'm going to throw this at you now. Participation with 4-H, we've seen across the state, counties that have an agent and a full-time assistant reach 95% more children, reach 95% more youth than agents without a full-time assistant. So we can effectively, and we saw that. My numbers dropped, my ability to reach kids dropped tremendously when I was working without an assistant. Abby has done some great things for us and has provided a lot of, especially with our social media approach and being able to market our program. She's really wonderful with that. But we run out of time sometimes to get things done because it's time for her to go home so she doesn't go over time. It's just important to me that we reach as many youth as we can. And I understand that there are money constraints and things like that, but I want to read to you a study done by Claremont McKenna College, the Rose Institute at Claremont McKenna College. For every $1 invested in high-quality after-school programs, that saves taxpayers roughly $3 for every $1 invested. If benefits from crime reduction are factored in, each $1 invested in an at-risk child saves the county $8 to $12. So my thinking is, yes, we do need to provide money for public safety and everything that goes with the county. But if you truly want to save money, it makes sense to invest in a program like 4-H or other after-school programs where you can save. Studies show you can save $8 for every $1 you invest. Because 4-Hers are, I got all my numbers here. 4-Hers are, if we reach more kids, 4-Hers are 4 times more likely to make contributions to the communities. They're 2 times more likely to be civically active, 2 times more likely to make healthier choices, 2 times more likely to participate in science, engineering, and computer technology programs during out-of-school times. 4-H girls are 2 times more likely, and nearly 3 times more likely, 2 times more likely in grade 10, 3 times more likely in grade 12 to take part in science programs compared to girls in other out-of-school time activities. And they're about 3 to 4 times less likely to be involved in risky behavior that would involve police action. So it just makes sense to me that we invest in 4-H and programs for our youth. So I'm going to hop off my soapbox. You can see I'm a little passionate about this. I guess I'm probably too much of a Democrat. I want to spend money on kids and youth and stuff like that, but which is a dangerous thing to be here. And Democrats a dangerous thing to be in Upshur County these days. But lonely. It's lonely to be in Upshur County. But I see the need for this. I hope
the same.
Pardon me?
do not believe for a moment, if you're speaking political parties, that Republicans not have the same concern. And I appreciate your passion.
Yeah.
I appreciate your passion.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole Democrat Republican thing, I was just joking.
I know, it's right there.
Felt a little I just hope you'll take it into consideration and give us make every effort to make this happen for us.
Well, from my perspective, as you said, the last several years, you've done remarkably well with what we have been able to give you. And we look forward to speaking with you next month. I think a couple of weeks we'll be sitting down with you during the budget process. We'll be able to analyze some figures, hopefully have some figures to know what we're dealing with.
Right.
And be able to make a decision that is appropriate.
And I do want to express appreciation for what you've been able to do. You've been very open with what you have been able to do and what you've been doing. It's just I'd like to see us get back up at least to where we were, if at all possible. So I do appreciate Mr. Cutright's involvement. He's jumped right in, and it's been nice to know that we don't have to worry about the new guy. So.
And the new guy is very interested and has expressed interest in the youth and the community.
Great.
And has, in fact, last week we praised him and sent praise his way because of efforts on his behalf relative to some things we have going with the youth and athletics. So look forward to seeing you again, Craig, and appreciate your efforts and your efforts.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Okay, it's 9:30, a little past 9:30, and we have a scheduled appointment with Judith Williams, who is the James W. Curry Librarian, Integrated Library Management System proposal.
Good morning, hard on to follow.
Well, I know that you're passionate in your area as well.
Yeah, a little bit. Just came a little late to it, that's all. I'm here today to talk to you about an integrated library management system. In October last year at our advisory board meeting, it was agreed that I should look into the feasibility and a mechanism of automating the Curry Library. Libraries are rapidly changing. The libraries of our youth are becoming anachronisms, and unfortunately anachronisms don't survive. If we can't reach the young people that he's talking about and impassion them about libraries, unfortunately, I think Curry Library is going to, the investment that's been made since its inception is going to be for naught, because it will just gradually fade away as our generation, my generation, moves on to greener fields of its own. Our mission hasn't changed. We're there to provide quality materials. The way we do that is changing. We've had some inventory management problems at the Curry Library because of the old system of card catalog, and it's come to light that our card catalog is nowhere near complete. There's no way to match books against the card catalog, so we really don't know what we have. We don't know what we're losing. I just know that we have a slow hemorrhage that I'm trying desperately to get a handle on. But without a solid database of our patrons' information, I can't do that. The addresses I have, people aren't accurate, they've moved on to different things. I understand you've had an opportunity to read the proposal, so we can skip a lot of the state of the library information and feasibility. I started in October researching different avenues for automation. I first approached the Sierra software system by Innovative Technologies because that's what everybody else in the state is using. Fortunately for them, they have state money that pays for that. And when I finally got an answer from them what it would cost to use their system at Curry, because we are not state funded, it would be $20,000 a year. I said, I don't think they're going to go for that, so moved on to other things. Looking at hosted cloud-based systems, that's where we're going to end up being eventually. But we can't get there from here right now. Our Hughes internet connection isn't going to support that. We can't make that work right now. I do see that as a very big factor in the future because that's where everybody's going, to the hosted systems. You get rid of your IT department, you have a lot less costs, your database is relatively secure. You just have to deal with what you deal with on the day-to-day basis, which for Curry is a really good thing because the people we have there, including myself, are not IT geniuses. So although that it has to be factored in as part of our future, it's not the way to go in the effort we're undertaking right now. So I looked into open source. Free is always good, right? Well, that's good if you are very well trained in IT. The staff we have at Curry couldn't support that. I can't support that. I talked with Alex Tucker at the West Virginia Library Commission, who knows me from my work at Philippi Public Library, and I said, look, Alex, bottom line, do you think I could run an open source system out here? He said, no, not without an IT department. So much for the free. So I started looking into the other options that we had, and one of the big things about automation is summed up by Marshall Breeding, who's kind of the library go-to guy for technology. And he said, given the relative parity of library automation systems, choosing the right automation partner is more important than splitting hairs over functionality. And that really, really is true. If you don't have a good company that you're working with in partnership, it's like buying something at Best Buy, taking it home, plugging it in your computer, and it doesn't work, and you've just out the money. So I looked at a lot of systems and ended up with about 20 that I looked seriously at. And that's listed, and I apologize for the redundancy in the printed proposal I missed. But when it all boiled down, I had 2 systems that I was looking seriously at that I thought were genuine possibilities for Curry and for the vision for Curry. And one is the Atrium system by Book Systems, and the other is the Surpass Sentiva system by Surpass. And in the proposal, I have compared these line by line because it's so difficult when you're looking at software to get everybody to talk the same language. And so you can compare apples and apples and oranges and oranges. But I managed to do that with Atrium and Surpass. And the real selling points, or the real things that make Atrium a better choice for Curry than Surpass. Atrium's a little bit more expensive, but it's still under our $10,000 limit on the budget. Atrium offers open URL link resolution. That's important because as our database grows and we link our materials to websites or information, publisher information that allows people to reach sample chapters, to find the table of contents, to decide whether they want to look seriously at that book, being able to resolve those links without somebody having to link by link by link by link by link, figure that all out, is a good thing. Atrium doesn't offer RFID tags, and I don't think RFID anti-theft protection is going to do us much good out of Curry anyway, so no loss. So I would rather trade the lack of RFID tags for better bibliographic utilities and vendor connections that Atrium offers but Surpass doesn't. A big thing for Atrium, in favor of Atrium, is the mobile and it integrates well with mobile and handheld devices. And that's where our people are going. I have some people who come in on the weekends who don't have computers at home that use our computers. Other than that, by and large, the most usage we have out there is people coming and sitting in the parking lot with their laptop or their cell phone, updating Wi-Fi and using that. So being able to have our catalog accessible on their handheld device is a real plus for us. In-house usage statistics, that's real important to me and to the Library Commission, but it's not real important to our patrons. The thing I thought was really good about Atrium is I have more control over the reports that we can generate. If you want to know what's happening out there, I have a better chance with our collection. I will be better able to serve that need with the Atrium system because I can customize the type of reports. There's more options for the kind of information you might be looking for. Whereas they are customizable in Surpass, but not as good. The serial routing that Surpass offers that Atrium doesn't is a non-issue for Curry. We have 3 magazines. Serial routing and serial management are for like big hospital libraries where they have tons of journals coming in and they have to make sure they get to the right places and everything. That's a non-issue for Curry. I think one of the really, really good things about Atrium that Surpass doesn't offer is their booking, media booking and reservation desk. Now, unlike most public libraries, we have a campsite to think about too. And we have a significant amount of our time and energy involved in taking reservations, solving problems when we double book because somebody couldn't read somebody else's writing, things like that. So, in talking with the representatives from Book Systems, come to find out, if you can catalog it and barcode it, you can run it in the Atrium system. So there is a possibility that this could be beneficial to the campground as well as to the library in managing our reservations and having a better accountability for those things. So Surpass can't do that, unfortunately, but Atrium can. But I mean, really, there's so little difference between the systems that I had to think about, okay, and good reviews on both sides. I mean, there are good reviews about both systems out there from other librarians. So why should I convince you to spend about $1,000 or so more on the Atrium system? And aside from the things that I've pointed out and differences so far, when you compare the 2 systems and look at the future of where we could go or would want to go with this system, Atrium has a more seamless rollover into the cloud-based system and the web-based system. They're willing to work with me on price on that, as far as if we could roll it over in the next year, everything that we've spent so far would go towards the rollover into the cloud-based. That's a little optimistic. I don't know that our broadband issues will be resolved by then. But still, I think that the Atrium system will be the way to go, for not just for now, but for our future. Another thing that Atrium offers that Surpass doesn't is it offers training. Now, I don't think we need they come to our house and sit with us and hold our hands and do an extra $1,000 worth of training, because they have their expenses to cover. I think we will do just fine with the online training. I've used both systems and I've worked extensively now with the Atrium demo, the tutorials, the help menus, very user-friendly. Anyone who wants to learn the system would be able to. You wouldn't necessarily have to have a background in cataloging. Checking in and checking out, anybody can be taught to do that. It's that simple a system. So I think we can save some money on the Atrium system there. Both require a server. We would have to get a server from somewhere, probably GST, and they're offering a good price on a new server, which would hopefully carry us the 3 to 7 years of a server life down the road, so that by then hopefully our broadband will be resolved. We won't need to replace the server, we just roll into that.
I would hope.
I understand your report, there were 2 servers, one for 1,300 and one for 1,500. 1,300 was a used one, right?
No, the 1,500 is if we buy the server from Book Systems, their canned server. And when I talked to the tech people that we have access through GST, they said that's not really a server, they're using that term in vain. It's really a beefed up workstation. This is what we can do for you that's the same as what they're doing for you. I sent them the specifications and they said, well, we can do that for $1,362.98 plus shipping or something. So that's that.
That's still be new equipment.
That's still new equipment. We could go, tech people at GST said you could go with one that they could dig up, a used one, for around $250. He said the problem you're going to have with that is if anything goes wrong, we may not be able to find a part for it. Now your system's down, and there's lots of...
So you're wanting the $1,500?
No, I want to work with GST. They're our tech people, and that the $1,000 that we would save on the on-site training, I'd like to see to go towards GST because we need to have them come out there and network it. I can install software till the cows come home, but networking, right over my head. Okay, so...
I just have a question, and it may not even have application here,
Sure.
but I believe if a server is a server is a server, I believe we may have one that we received from the state that our Office of Emergency Management might have. It came, if you recall, you may recall a couple of years ago, there
Oh, the VTOL?
was an issue with the state dispensing servers out to various libraries.
That's a router.
Oh, that's a router.
Yeah, that's a
Nothing's
router.
on
Yes,
the
we
server.
have that. It sits on top of our
It is.
refrigerator, and I'm
Yeah,
all to be able to
exactly.
hook it up.
It was in that.
But it's not
Article.
the same thing.
It is,
as-
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
what we need to do here. So my personal recommendation, my professional recommendation, is that we go with the Atrium system. We go ahead and purchase the barcodes that we need, or any portion you feel comfortable doing. The costs are comparable between the two systems. You can print your own barcodes, but you run into lots of trouble with that. And if we're going to make this investment, I'd like to just make it once, especially since we have to factor in time and wages and everything else into what everything costs these days. We would have to buy a dot matrix printer anyway, and the savings is not really significant.
As I was looking that over, now the barcodes and stuff you're wanting to get, there was a protective coating one,
Yeah, they're the ones that you don't have to put a barcode cover on.
so you were going to use those?
I would prefer to use those as opposed to the ones that we have to put a barcode cover on because it's an extra step, it's an extra expense. Our wear and tear, we're not a huge library, our wear and tear is not so much that I don't think they'll withstand it. Now, if we print our own barcodes, we have to. If we use the barcodes from Surpass, we have to put a barcode cover on it, it won't hold up.
I think you should use the one with the protective coating.
Yeah, they're some kind of a blend.
Another question while we're on that. The membership cards, I noticed there was one with a card for your keys.
Yes.
I think you ought to go that way.
Yes, I think so too, because, I mean, how many times you go to the library and they say, I want to check this out, and they say, can I have your library card? Oh, it's in my other purse, it's in my wallet, but you always have keys. And that's a thing up there at Curry. People don't carry purses, people don't carry wallets, they come in, they have their car keys because they got here. So having the key tags is a real plus. And that's what people have asked me for out there. They say, oh, when are we going to get the new library stuff like the other places have where you have one for your keys? So there's an interest in having an automated system out there. I don't think we need self-checkout. We're not that big. We're not that busy. We can always find time to help our patrons. So I don't think we need the self-checkout aspect of things. Having GST help us with the installation and the networking, I think is going to solve a lot of problems in the long run, save us a lot of money down the line. especially since we don't have the technical expertise. Are there any other questions I can answer for you about the system or why?
Without figuring $1,000 for networking, I think that I went through some numbers last night and I upgraded everything. If there was 2 options, I went with the upgrade option. I come up with about $8,080, is that?
To network?
If you see, there's a chart here, and Judith has recommended option number 2, which is the middle range of the 2, or the 3 options. That's at $8,815.78 for the whole system, everything she needs.
And that includes the $1,000 you want to use to network.
Well, that includes, no, I don't have a bid on labor from GST, but we're under the maintenance contract. We're part of the maintenance contract, so I don't know how much they would charge us to actually charge the county, the organization, to do that. So that is not in here, but that $1,000 number comes from option 1 is on-site training, which costs roughly $1,000 more than online. So if we save that money, it could go to pay for whatever our damages to.
You can train up to 5 people, and that would adequately cover your staff.
Well, yeah, there's 3 of us,
Yeah.
so I'm looking for 2 more
I was
volunteers.
just saying, there might be 2 more volunteers.
I am looking for 2 more volunteers. I almost had a lady from the DHHR work program for 30 hours a week, but she, fortunately for her and unfortunately for us, found a job.
I think you've done an excellent job, Judith.
Thank you.
We continue to be told of the vast improvements. We appreciate your efforts. I know that you came on board with a lot of issues that you had to deal with. We look forward to our first board meeting. We'll try to attend. I think all the commissioners plan to be there at your next board meeting, 24th or 25th of March. In March. And meet with the board and discuss the future of the library and other factors as well.
I am most excited about the growth in our Storytime program, and what makes it all worth it, it's a long drive out there.
Sure.
And weeks like this, it's a hard drive out there.
Yeah.
But what makes it all worth it is I have 2 little girls in Storytime who have decided that the Curry Library is the very, very, very best library in the whole world. So we're making progress. We're reaching our young people and instilling a passion for their community library. And that's where we got to go if we're going to have a future.
Well, for them, perception is reality.
I'm good with that.
Well, thank you very much
You're
for your
welcome.
presentation and for your, obviously to put this report together took a lot of your time and effort. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, it is now, let's see.
Would you like to go ahead and approve her to move forward with that?
I think we
Proposal.
can. Is there a motion to approve her recommended expenditure for the item number 2, which would be $8,800, I lost the figures here.
$8,815.78.
Is there a motion to approve that request for the Curry Library? And that money comes from the Curry Library funding.
Correct.
I will definitely move that we do that. She has done an outstanding job, and we are glad to have her.
They're seconded?
I second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. As they say, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Again, we do,
gentlemen.
we're not paying lip service to that. One of your best supporters has been the county administrator, and she is a very excellent advocate on behalf of Curry Library, and we appreciate your efforts, and she is one of your best supporters as well. We can see through her and from the reports we've been receiving how much progress has been made in that area. it's really yourself. And it's been difficult, we know, at times in certain areas, but we'll hang
I'm
in there
glad
with you.
Carrie's in my phone.
We'll hang in there with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Carrie does do an outstanding job for the commission, but also sitting at the commission, we see the outstanding job you do at Curry Library, and I certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll continue then with our information items. We have correspondence from David Hoge, Homeland Security Director, regarding the satisfactory on-site visit for grant number 11-SHS-13 and 11-SHS-50, administered to the Office of Emergency Management. That basically indicates that the grant is being handled in accordance with the rules and regulations set forth in the grant, and that was a good report from Mr. Hoge. So we appreciate the report, and we appreciate the efforts that Jim Ferry, the Director of Office of Emergency Management, and James Farrell provide in that area. Yes. And we have correspondence from Margaret Kelly requesting a hearing for the Board of Assessment Appeals in October 2015. Last week, before the Board of Assessment evaluation, Mrs. Kelly requested that we postpone her hearing until October, which is within the statutory framework authorized by that. So I don't think we have to approve that. She's requested it. Do we need to approve that? I think, yeah, she's gone on record with that at our hearing. So we have a financial statement, January 2015. We have agendas or notices of meetings, and we have meeting minutes, meetings, Board of Review and Equalization, which will conclude today. We'll adjourn the Board of Equalization review today at 1 o'clock or shortly thereafter. And we have appointments needed for upcoming boards. And advise that the Upshur County Commission will not be meeting next Thursday, as the administrator and the members of the commission will be attending budget training in Bridgeport during that date. The next meeting will be on March 5th. I guess that concludes the agenda items. I guess we now have some bills to pay, which always seems to
Next
be an
week
issue.
on the Farmland Preservation Board.
Thursday's our meeting.
Will you be here?
I'll be there.
Yeah, the meeting ends, I think, at 2:30, I believe.
No, it's actually only 9 to 11:30,
9 to 11.
so we'll be back in plenty of time.
So,
I should be here.
very well, we'll pay some bills.